as Christians, how do we move forward toward reconciliation within our divided communities? And a number of folks pointed out that Arizona is kind of a hotbed for Christian nationalism.
I actually asked Robbie what the numbers were for Arizona, and believe it or not, Arizona is pretty much right on the national number. 27% of Arizonans fit the definition of Christian nationalism that Robbie presented earlier. So I just want to say that. So I know it's really easy to think while you're here that it's like worse than everywhere else, or sort of out of control. You're actually pretty representative of the national sample in the state.
Mm-hmm. And I think it probably feels tense in a state like Arizona because you have both groups, and it's a swing state, politically and all of that. And I actually compare it to the Civil War. There were border states, and there were states that had slavery but remained in the Union, like where I live in Kentucky. And in those places, I actually feel like the tension is higher because there's a bit of a crisis of identity. Whereas I lived in Mississippi, and it was pretty clear where they stood in a lot of cases. So there's that tension still. And then to the question, how do we bring about reconciliation? Look, Jesus talked about the truth dividing like a sword. And sometimes I think we preoccupy ourselves too much with trying to persuade people and get them to this other side. And I recognize it's tender because for a lot of folks, particularly white folks, this is in your family. This is a parent, a sibling, a grandparent, right? And so you love them. And there is that tension where it's this person who's close to you and familiar, and you love the person they are, but these beliefs, where they're getting their news, the things they're saying about people of color and other folks, I wish they would just, to which I say, your best tool is your testimony. It's your lived witness of how you love them and others, especially the others they may want to demonize. And then also your testimony to them about why do you believe what you believe. If you try to trot out these very persuasive statistics that Robbie has given us, they're inoculated against that from the news they hear and the voices they're listening to. But they do care about you and your story. Now, they may not agree, it may not be persuasive, but I would say get real good at telling people why you give a darn. What was it in your story? Was it a personal relationship that you had? Was it, marrying someone, or now you have grandkids who are, it's in your family now, or it was a book you read? Get really good at sharing about that. And it's a little bit harder to argue with your own experience. And then lastly, I say my philosophy is the Motel 6 philosophy. Back in the day, they used to have these commercials that ended, Motel 6, we'll keep the light on for you. And that's my attitude toward these folks, right? Like, there's so much arrogance and certainty there, you're not going to get a word in edgewise. But if anyone does come to you with humility, if anyone does come to you with genuine curiosity, even though they may be far down this rabbit hole of white Christian nationalism, I will always have the conversation. I will always leave the light on for you.